My name is Willis Brooks. I'm a retired professor at the University of North Carolina, Chapel Hill, where I taught for 39 years. The very first person I tutored, let's call him David, could make 16 or 17 letters of the alphabet, not always the same ones. And I tutored David for 5.5 years, twice a week. David was always on time. David always did his homework when he was able to do homework. After about 2 years, he stopped printing, said he wanted to learn how to write. It didn't take very long to teach him how to do cursive, and he said, "I'm never going to print again. That's for babies." David and I have kept in touch for 30 years, and he told me stories about growing up, which I could relate to because I grew up in rural Virginia in the summers. So he and I were natural friends from a completely different part of the American economy and society. So I've taken him to baseball games. We've kept in touch, and the impact, I think, came from many stories, but one in particular. He was living on 10 acres of land, and the reason he had wanted to be tutored was that he wanted to be able to make his own signs, cucumbers, squash, corn, that he wanted to sell, and he couldn't do that. And he couldn't buy the amounts of grain that he wanted. When he'd go to a store, he would say, "I'd like a half a pound of, I don't know, I need to look at it." And he couldn't read when they let him look at it. So he was empowering himself when he came and said, "I need help," raised his hand, and we worked. And so he's given me some sweet potatoes he grew, and I gave him some peaches from the farm up in rural Virginia. Keeping in touch with the person with whom you work is really easy when you have a good working relationship, even after the tutoring is over. His initial commitment to learn how to make signs, to complement his extraordinary ability to grow things in his large garden, continues. And so it's nice to keep in touch with him. I asked him what additional goals he had beyond simply making signs for his cucumbers. He said, "I'd like to be able to stand up in front of my church and read a psalm and be able to read it, because I know some psalms, but I can occasionally make mistakes and I don't want people laughing at me." And so we practice those psalms. But David made it big. At the end of 5.5 years, he and I together read a biography of Martin Luther King. So I can certify that I've had an impact. I can certify that my students have had an impact on me. It's been an extraordinary experience to be a volunteer for Orange Literacy.